Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another episode of Achieving Perfection. This one is going to be for the Vitu-Ghazi node in the Elderspark event. So per the usual, I'm going to go ahead, show off the decks that I would suggest, and then I will get into the node itself, and then I'll go into explanations of my deck or decks, and then other deck building ideas. So, for newer players, I would use something like this right here. And then for people with larger collections, I would go ahead and use something like this. All right, let's get into the node itself. So the node itself is a bit wonky as things go. It's very much so a token node. It's a mono green node, so all the cards are green. It's got +6 to white, red, and green for its mana bonuses. It's got 220 health. And the three abilities are, for 3 loyalty, topple the statue. If Vitu-Ghazi does not control a support named Topple the Statue, it's going to create a Topple the Statue token with Indestructible. At the end of each turn, if there are 20 or more creature tokens or creature token reinforcements on the battlefield, destroy all non-elemental creatures and all gems. Then deal 20 damage to your opponent's planeswalker. You do not want that ability to go off. If that ability goes off, you're going to start losing the match really darn fast, especially since all of this thing's tokens are elementals, and that just means that with the gem destruction and you taking damage, it's just going to spam, and you're going to be in real trouble. Ability 2, create 4 forest tokens. Those are the Nissa Worldwaker tokens. They're elemental land tokens. And then Blooming Resistance is all token creatures get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements until the beginning of your next turn. The objectives are win the fight, summon 5 or more creatures with any of the following subtypes, them being dragon, elemental, elf, and goblin, and then cast 3 or more cards with proliferate. So for the decks, you really just need to have 1 card in order to take this node down, right? So, and I'm actually pretty sure that they made this card specifically because of this node. And that card is Leyline of Singularity. So as long as you have this card, you just win. That's it. It's an event reward. It makes it so that it locks out pretty much the entirety of the Vitu-Ghazi's deck. So it really can't do very much once you get this thing down. It can't gain any power really. It's just going to convert gems, and those gem conversions will do nothing unless the landfalls destroy this support. So the node itself does not actually have any good way of getting rid of supports, so you don't have to worry about that at all. It has really no removal, so you don't have to worry about that at all either. So you just need to draw into that. The deck itself that it's using it only has 2 creatures. It's running Mowu, which is a really weak creature, and it's running Evolution Sage, which is a largely pointless creature also. The only real point of this is for it proliferating, so buffing its tokens and getting more loyalty, but I mean, it really doesn't do very much for it, so I honestly wouldn't worry about it at all. Save your removal for Mowu or tokens if you don't have the leyline down. It's running a few spells, but really not much in the way of spells. So Camaraderie is card draw, creature buff, and life gain. And Awakening of Vitu-Ghazi, as long as you've got the leyline down, it's just going to try and summon a creature that actually can't be summoned. So it just becomes a wasted card. They get locked out. A lot of supports, so Gateway Plaza, because this is mono green, it's going to be converting gems to just green. And Plaza of Harmony, also because it's mono green, is going to be converting gems to just green. Selesnya Guildgate is bad for this deck, actually, because while it is producing to green, it also sometimes produces white. I know that it has equal mana bonuses to green and white, but since the other supports are just going to be converting to green, it's not great that it converts away. And also, because of Zendikar's Royal. It wants green landfalls to make more green elemental tokens. Jiang Yangu is going to create, it's going to convert gems to green. It's going to buff creatures. And then there is Nissa, who shakes the world. It's going to give more mana from green matches. It's going to create forest tokens. It's going to fetch more lands. So this is really the deck. It's largely a weak deck. It's just that the abilities are really, really strong. So counteracting the abilities, Leyline of Singularity. Use it, win, be happy. This is honestly, I think, maybe the easiest or one of the easiest nodes in this entire event, and it's because of 2 card interactions. One is this. In the previous running of this event, I just ran Mist Caller, but unfortunately that card has come out of standard. It's basically just a creature version of Leyline of Singularity, and as there are more ways of fetching creatures, specific creatures, it was a lot easier to get that than it is to get the Leyline. And the other one is to run Death Sprout in conjunction with Karn's Bastion. Now, if you have Knight of the green Knight of Thorns, Knight of brain fart. It's really late for me. I'm sorry. We're just gonna go this way. No, what are you called? I'm not running you in this one. Shame on me. I'm running it here then. Cavalier of Thorns. Blah. Anyways. If you have Cavalier of Thorns, run that because, ding, it's going to fetch Karn's Bastion. So it's the same sort of thing. I mention it in every single proliferate or partner objective. Just run things that fetch and play lands with this, and it completes it. All partner and all proliferate cards, for most part, are bad. So just use this combo, and you'll be happy, and you'll win. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Discovery is a great card to use in this node because you can surveil away everything that is not Leyline of Singularity. You want to add as much card draw to this as possible. So if you're not able to make that later one, run Leyline of Singularity, a bunch of card draw, and some creatures, you'll be good. So Discovery is going to surveil away anything that is not Leyline of Singularity. The same is going to be true for this, but because it bounces and almost everything that it plays are tokens, tokens can't be returned to one's hand. So you bounce the token, it's gone. It doesn't come back, doesn't go back to the hand. The Surveil is going to make it so that you can find more Leylines. Leafkin Druid is going to serve as an elemental. It's going to convert gems to green for you. Dwynen is going to serve as an elf. It's going to block everything that this deck will throw at you except for the tokens. So if you've got the Leyline down, this thing just wins the game for you. Ocaran Assassin is going to be removal. It's going to be an elf, and it's really just a placeholder until you can create the blue octopi tokens. Once you create the blue octopi tokens, you're golden. If you don't have Kiora, you have some other walker, that's fine. You don't need the octopi tokens. You'll just whittle down the health slowly but surely, because once Leyline is down, this deck is entirely neutered. It can't do anything. Nissa's Pilgrimage is going to convert more gems for you, so it's going to make it so that you get to those octopi a little bit quicker. Arrester's Admonition is going to be bounce, but it is also going to potentially draw you a card, which is good. And then that's really the deck in a nutshell. So get the Leyline down. I know that I've said this a ton of times, but get it down. It's going to destroy the opposing deck entirely, and then just slowly whittle the health down and win. For more advanced cards, right? I don't know that advanced is the right word, but it's just you have more cards, right? That's probably the better way of putting it. So if you have more cards, you're going to want to go with something more like this. This deck here is going to get you perfect for sure. Like super easy peasy lemon squeezy. So you'll see that I've done a lot to draw cards. So it's, once again, you want the Leyline down and then you win. But then apart from the Leyline, we've got Finale of Revelation. This is going to draw you a ton of cards, and then it's going to give them half mana. It's just fishing for the Leyline. This is going to draw you a ton of cards. It's going to fish for the Leyline. And then you've got Add Dragon Mage. This is going to dump things that don't have mana and draw you even more cards. So you're going to use this to, you guessed it, fish for the Leyline. It also is a dragon, so it counts toward the summon objective. Avaricious Dragon, you're going to be drawing a ton of cards. This is going to be destroying a ton of gems. As a result, this is going to destroy all of your opponent's supports pretty much. So their supports are predominantly going to be coming out on green gems. This is a green walker, or walker, but, well, node. So it's just going to destroy the green gems, and you'll get rid of their supports. That's why you see that I'm running no other support removal except for Flood of Tears. Flood of Tears does not get rid of lands, but that's okay because Avaricious is going to get rid of them. If you want to run the Great Aurora, then that's a perfectly great option for you too. This is going to get rid of all creatures and supports. If you want to run this, by all means go ahead. It's cheaper, mana cost wise, so definitely a fantastic option here. You'll see that I'm running both Cavalier of Thorns and Death Sprout in conjunction with Karn's Bastion. Karn's Bastion is the only land in my deck. If you're using the Death Sprout Cavalier method, do not run other lands apart from Karn's Bastion. Then, other than that, we've got Killer Instinct to go ahead and fetch our dragons, fetch our Cavalier, and that's it. Like that's really it. So make sure you've got card draw, make sure you get into your ley line, and then be merry and happy. The more things you can put in your deck to draw cards to get to that ley line faster, the more likely you are to win the node and go perfect. So I hope this helps you out. I hope you achieve perfection. I am not at the video yet, and because shame on me, I did not go over alternatives. Okay, ignore me. Yeah. Alternatives. What you're going to want to do is you go to your cards, you make sure that you have that ley line. If you do not have that ley line, you are in for a really bad time on this node. Like, really, really, really bad time. Okay? So get the ley line as soon as possible, right? So just do the M20 events. The PvE ones, right? They all give it. Actually, I think all the M20 events do. But yes, have the ley line. For proliferate cards, just to help reinforce my point, they suck. All of them are terrible. Like, literally, all of them are terrible. Even Karn's Bastion is honestly terrible. But, okay, hold on. Sword of Truth and Justice is actually pretty decent. But it's a masterpiece, and it is not from the set that Proliferate came out in. That being said, there are some proliferators that are creatures that will achieve the Savage objective. So Pollen Bright Druid is an elf, and it has Proliferate. So assuming that playing creatures will work toward counting toward Proliferate, you can run that. You can also go ahead and use Evolution Sage. This is another elf that has Proliferate. And then you can run Bloom Hulk. This is an elemental that has Proliferate. So this will work too. Do not run all three. Just run like one of them, right? If you need Proliferate cards, maybe run two. If you need more removal, you can throw in Wanderer's Strike. But really, you want to avoid running as many Proliferate cards as possible. They're all bad, and you just want to get into this thing more quickly, if you can. If you can't, run like one of those elves or the Bloom Hulk, and leave it at that. For elves, goblins, elementals, dragons, I mean, there's some pretty simple thoughts that will immediately come to your mind. So the first thing that came to my mind, wow, I'm doing a great job of spelling Krenko. Krenko is a boss, but it makes a bunch of tokens. The ley line is going to exile all of the tokens. On top of that, you're making tokens for that Topple the Statue support. Don't do it. Do not play Krenko. Don't do it. The other obvious choice that I thought of was Utvara Hellkite, which you don't want to use for the exact same reason as Krenko. Don't do it. Don't play tokens. Just don't do it. The event kills you if you play tokens. So summon your dragons, your elves, your elementals, your goblins. Summon them a different way, not the token way, which means don't use goblins. There aren't good goblins that you can use for this. There are good dragons. Ideally, you have some of them. Elementals, you'll probably have some. Elves, you'll probably have some. So the last piece of suggestion I have for you, once you have figured out the ley line, and then you're going to want to go to your planeswalkers, you're going to want to see which of your planeswalkers have blue and another color. You do not want to run a monocolor planeswalker for this event if you can. If you have to run a mono-colored Planeswalker for this event, use a mono blue walker so you can use the Leyline. I was going to go over the walkers, but oh, okay, thank you. You're done loading. Fantastic. Yeah, so just go through your Planeswalkers. I mean, Karn sort of counts, right? Yeah. Kiora is a great choice. The Bolosses are great choices. Rawl is actually a pretty solid choice for this. Rawl is great because you can just fish for the Leyline a little bit more easily with the first ability, Prophetic Research. So he's actually a really great choice for this. For that matter, Karn is actually an amazing choice for this, for that first ability, Thran Legacy, just to fetch through for that Leyline a little bit more quickly. Brokon is great. Tamio is great. Teferi is honestly okay-ish. I say okay-ish because then you have to try and do the Dragon Elemental Elf thing, and don't do that. So yeah, that really is it. Now for reals. I hope this helps you go perfect. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.